Everyone assumed this would end in one way. They expected pressure to whelk. They believed that silence would intimidate her. They believed leverage was on their side. They were mistaken because the WNBA didn't simply underestimate Caitlin Clark. They utterly misread her. For weeks, the league assumed it was playing a familiar game. Push, wait, apply pressure discreetly. This was not new to them. They had seen stars bend before. They'd seen rookies fail. They'd witnessed noise fade as the system remained steady. So they did the same thing again. They didn't understand Caitlin Clark was not reacting at all. Behind the scenes, the mood was tense, not dramatic or explosive, but deliberate. According to sources familiar with the situation, there was a growing belief among league officials that Caitlin would eventually blink, that the focus would become too intense, and that the pressure would force a reaction. It never arrived. There is no declaration, demand, or dramatic moment, only silence. And silence in power games is dangerous because it indicates that someone is not afraid. The union anticipated public unrest. They expected reactions. They expected noise that they could regulate. Instead, they received nothing.
Around that time, I feel like most of the fans were on the side of the players. And as this has all kind of played out, the tables have turned a little bit because we've heard too much. There's been a lot of drama. And like Rebecca Lobo said, like their words that they choose in some of these press releases and some of the social media posts, I've told you guys, it feels a little childish to me. Like there are some things they've said like stop playing games or like putting lipstick on a pig or it's a slap in the face. And it's all of these, I don't know, it's things that you would say if you're in an argument with a friend.
In the meantime, something else happened. Ratings were stagnant without her. Momentum was not spreading. Energy was not carrying. The league was officially operational, but it did not feel vibrant. And that's when the gamble occurred. According to sources, a line was crossed quietly, not announced, not formal, but a signal that says, let's see how serious she really is. They figured this would cause a pause. It did not. Caitlin Clark did not blink. She continued to show up, play, and exist within the spotlight without responding. And that's when terror set in.
Important players are the people that are on the committee. Let's be completely real. The most important player in CBA negotiations is Caitlin Clark. The second most important player in CBA negotiations is not necessarily Caitlin Clark, or say obviously not Caitlin Clark, it's Angel Reese. The third most important player is Sabrina Ionescu. The fourth most important player, AJ Wilson. Fifth most important player, Paige Beckers. And maybe if you want to put Paige Beckers at third, fair enough. They are the most important players. The most important brand is Nike, who own a decent chunk of the NBA, of the WNBA. They own a decent chunk of it. They are so important, and this sums it up here.
Because a maneuver intended to apply pressure actually did the reverse. It revealed something. The league needed her more than she did them. Following that, internal talks evolved quickly. The tone has altered. The confidence crumbled. The certainty vanished. Because if you call a bluff and nothing happens, you know it wasn't a bluff. It was about control. Caitlin Clark had it without even asking for it. People close to the union say that frustration has begun to manifest. Not publicly, privately. How do you handle someone who refuses to engage? How can you apply pressure to someone who is not afraid of the consequences?
Called, the sand things that you flip over and it's like a timer. So they changed their profile picture to that. And they did that when the deadline was approaching for the last CBA deadline. I also think it's just maybe a little bit childish. I don't know. But this is what they posted. They said what it would look like to pay WNBA players what they deserve. And this was the slide that caught everybody's attention. It says the 2025 WNBA season has set records for attendance, both in total and per game, even before the playoffs. More than 3 million fans have flocked to see stars like A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces and Alyssa Thomas of the Phoenix Mercury. By many measures, it's been the most successful season in league league history, but the players aren't fully sharing in that success. And a lot of people are pointing it out, like, you name somebody like Asia, you name somebody like Alyssa Thomas, but why aren't you mentioning Caitlin Clark? Like, why aren't you mentioning the person who continues to have the highest viewership, the highest attendance, all of these things, even when she was injured? Because again, she played 13 games this past season. She didn't play very much, but when she was injured and she was still going to away games, she was signing autographs for like an hour before the game even started. Like, you would see on the television, whether it was a home fever game, away fever game, Caitlin Clark would be signing.
You cannot. That's when reality struck. It wasn't about a strike anymore. It was not about leverage. It was not about power plays. It was about relevancy. Without Caitlin Clark, the league felt quieter, smaller, and less urgent, and everyone noticed. That's why the messaging became softer. That explains why the tone shifted. That's why urgency supplanted confidence. Not because Caitlin requested something, because the system tested her and failed. The most perilous aspect, she never celebrated it. There's no victory lap. There is no arrogant reaction. She just remained quiet. And quiet is the loudest flex in situations like this because it communicates with everyone observing. I do not need to react. You already did. It wasn't a loud collapse. It was a slow one.
Of a Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese talking as if it's a guarantee how important that is. Because at the end of the day, these are players that Nike, Reebok, these big brands are kind of like, Nike are putting a lot of stock in Caitlin Clark. Like, there's a lot going into Caitlin Clark. I think this Team USA camp, and imagine if Team USA fuck about and don't pick Caitlin Clark. Nike on the spot would probably just drop them. The rumor is, again, this is a complete online rumor I'm seeing on Twitter. This doesn't mean anything. But the rumor is that the Caitlin Clark shoe is going to be revealed during a Super Bowl commercial. That is what the rumor is. That is going to be revealed out during the Super Bowl, which is what, like, I'm just trying to think when it comes down to it. When is the Super Bowl?
Awareness developed gradually through meetings and phone calls that the league did not have the cards it thought it did. When that knowledge sinks in, everything changes. That is why the present moment is so important. Not because of what was said or declared, but rather because of what failed. A move was made. Pressure was applied. And Caitlin Clark did not blink. That's when power switched. You cannot. That's when reality struck. It wasn't about a strike anymore. It was not about leverage. It was not about power plays. It was about relevancy. Without Caitlin Clark, the league felt quieter, smaller, and less urgent, and everyone noticed. That's why the messaging became softer. That explains why the tone shifted. That's why urgency supplanted confidence. Not because Caitlin requested something, because the system tested her and failed. The most perilous aspect, she never celebrated it.